Kittl has quickly become my most used tool for creating my print-on-demand designs. I have made Kittl tutorials in the past, but so much has changed and advanced in Kittl that I wanted to start from zero for those who are just getting started with Kittl to go from beginner to pro in designing within Kittl. So first off, what is Kittl and why does it differ from Canva? And why am I picking Kittl over Canva nowadays for when I'm starting brand new print-on-demand designs? So when they were actually creating Kittl, everything started from a mindset of print-on-demand. So you're gonna find tons of templates, really good templates for print-on-demand. There's a lot of cool effects that you can do in Kittl that you could not do in Canva. And again, since launch, there's just been a whole bunch of other new tools that helps creating print-on-demand designs easier. And we're gonna go over each of these in this video and how to use them. There were many effects that I wanted to do on Canva that I just could not do within their platform, and I would have to move it to an external program like Photopea and use those together to create the types of designs that I wanted, while now Kittl has actually brought in a lot of those features right into their platform so I can keep all of my designing just in one spot. I quickly mentioned templates, and if you actually go into Kittl and check out their templates, a lot of places have templates, but Kittl actually has the ones that I most see as best sellers on Etsy, and a lot of the times, once you actually see a best-selling trend on Etsy or somewhere else, Kittl makes similar templates so that designing for that trend is a lot easier, and there's always new templates for you to be using. For example, if you've been following me for a while, I've talked a lot about the coquette trend. It is a trend with bows and pinks and a very kind of girly-ish style, and it has been insanely popular on Etsy for the last few months, and I am not seeing this trend go away anytime soon. And nowadays, if you actually go into Kittl and type in coquette, you are going to get tons of beginner templates that you can start your design from. If you've been on Etsy, you've also probably seen this social club trend doing really well. It's a certain layout, and if you just type in social club on Kittl and you scroll down, this looks very familiar. We have this one right here, very similar to best sellers that are doing really well on Etsy. And if you keep scrolling down, you're gonna see a whole bunch of different types of styles that do really well as graphic designs for apparel or other print-on-demand products. So once you pick a design, and again, thousands of templates, if you want the bootleg trend, it's there. If you want Easter, it's there. If you want coquette, so many different design styles. Keep in mind, you do need to do your research on Etsy first. Find designs that are doing well, and you're likely to find a similar one in Kittl. But I always highly recommend, just when you're doing any designing, to start from research first, even when using templates. And because I know similar templates to this are doing really well, I've picked this one to edit. The first thing that I want to do, and you have to do this if you're starting from a brand new project or starting from a template, is I actually want to make sure that this is sized correctly for print on demand. So the first thing I do when I'm opening up a template is I actually click on the template name up here. It is the corner over here that says La Femme Bridal Shower Business. And I'm just going to make sure the size is large enough. And this one actually is pretty big, 4,500 by 5,400 pixels, which is awesome. Some of them are like 900, and you just have to increase the size, but you can also start from a custom size. And if you scroll through here, you'll start to see the sizing for print on demand. So the side here, we have merch by Amazon t-shirts, Printful t-shirts. That's scrolling down because I do Printify. I'm going to grab a Printify t-shirt size, and now it resizes this to fit the art size that Printify specifies. You might now notice that some things have been cut off though. So what you can do is just grab your cursor and drag it out over every little item here. And now everything is selected, and I'm going to grab the corner here, just place my cursor in the corner, and I'm going to just make it smaller so I can fit this on the new artboard size. Maybe I'm in here now and I actually don't like the text that's been used. It's extremely easy to change the types of fonts that you have in here. You can just select the font or the text that you want to change. And then on this sidebar here under text, you can go and change the typeface. And another reason I absolutely love Kittl is because of their preloaded fonts. They are significantly better than the ones that you have in Canva. In Canva, a lot of the times I had to go find the fonts that I would like and bring them in, versus Kittl already seems to have a lot of the types of fonts that I'm looking for already pre-built into their typeface library. And once you have your font, if you want to add some extra style to this, some fonts, including fonts you may bring in from Creative Fabrica, for example, have what are called glyphs. And glyphs are just cool extra characters. For example, this S may have a fancier looking S. Some of them have a little wing at the beginning or at the end, but let's check this one here. At the side, I'm going to hit this little button that is on the rightmost side under your text. And if you hover over it, it says glyphs, and it's going to bring up this box, and you can type in what letter you want to add a glyph to. So let's say for the S, I want to see what types of glyphs they have here. And they have a few ones. They have a fancy S. They have this fancier S. I kind of like this simpler S for the beginning of my social club. And then I can just remove the other ones I don't like. And now I've kind of changed up the look of this. And again, these highly vary on the text that you use. Not all of them have them. Some of them have fancier ones. So it's not always going to be there. And if you do have your own external font you want to bring into Kittl, just open the typeface, and at the bottom here, you'll see this upload font button, and you can upload your font, reload the page, and it's going to be there as an option. Another tool I love in Kittl is their ability to do different text effects that were not available in Canva. So if you select a text at the side here, and then you scroll down, you're going to see this window called transformation. And you can add things like an arc, a rise, you can add a wave or a flag, you can do an angle, you can make this a circle, you can distort this yourself. So if you want to add some of your own customizations here, you can do that as well. Or you can make this custom, and you can just change the wavelength that this is on, whatever you would like to fit your design best. The one I usually end up using are distort and arc, probably the most. So now let's say I want to change the graphics. What you can do is select the graphics here in the middle. If you click on something and you notice that multiple things are selected, they're likely grouped, which means that these three things have been linked together. So if you move one, they're all going to move together, and you can create this by selecting the items that you want to group. And what you're going to do is right click, and if they're grouped, you can hit ungroup to unlink them, or if they're not grouped yet, you can hit group to make them one item altogether. But for this one, I'm going to ungroup it, and now you can see that I can edit each one separately. And I'm actually going to delete these because I do not think that I really like the style. If you did like the style of this, but you wanted to change the graphic to something else, what you can do is use AI and create something in the style of the graphic that exists. So you're going to right click this, and you're going to hit the button save as image gen style. The first option to change this out is to look through the existing elements that Kittl has. So you can click on the elements box and just type in what you're looking for. And if you find an image that you actually do want to use in your design, you can just hit the button replace, and it's going to take over the spot of the item that you had selected. But I'm actually not a fan of the ones that are provided here. So I'm going to use Kittl's AI built-in tool to create my own version. And that's just at the bottom over here, which is Kittl AI. And because we did that save as image gen style, under save styles, we're going to see a version or a style here similar or exactly what the element was in the middle here. And then you can type in what you're looking for. And before actually sending it, what I like to do is change from turbo to advanced and then split between these. I do find DALL-E 3 lately has been giving me the best results. So I'm going to select the DALL-E 3 model here. I'm going to type in what I'm looking for, and I'm going to make sure in save styles, I have this style saved so that it's trying to match a similar vibe to what was there before. So I ran this a few times and got a few different results, but the one that I think matches this vibe similarly is this one here. The colors will never match, but you can make them match, and I'll show you how. But the first thing you want to do is when you find a version that you like is under tools, you're going to hit remove background. And then I also like to vectorize this. This only has one color, so I only want it to be one color. So I'm going to vectorize the image. And now because this is vectorized, we're able to change the color. And at the bottom here under document colors, you're going to find all the colors that have already been used in your document so that it's very easy to match the colors. So perhaps I want this to be white in the middle, or perhaps I want it to match more of this martini glass. And then what I'm going to do is select this color. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a border around it that is white. And I'm just going to add that here. And now this more closely resembles the previous image we had in there. But while going through this, I think I like this with without a border, and with this just being the white here, and then putting this in the center. Now, playing around with this, I did find that the middle was a little bland with just the boot, so I actually kept in the martini glass and I made the width a little bit thicker by adding a border around that martini glass so that the thickness of the images looked similar. And again, all I had to do to change the thickness is click on the image, and at the bottom here, I added a border that was white so that they look similar. And now we can group these again by selecting both of them over here, right clicking, and you can hit group, or if you like doing shortcuts, you can do Command G. If for some reason there was any of this image that you did not like, what you can do is just click on the AI generated image or either of them here, and you're gonna see this quick eraser button. So if you want to, first you'll have to rasterize this, which means just vectorizing it. But if you want to erase certain parts of it, for example, you can just grab the brush. You can change the size here. If you want to turn on the AI tool, which will, if you erase something, try to fill it back in with AI. But I just want to erase something. So maybe I don't like this point over here. I'm just going to erase that and be done with it. But it's not really working for this design because there's no part I really want to delete. So I'm just going to hit Command Z to go backwards. And I just wanted to show you that in case there was a part of the AI creation that you didn't like, which does happen. So one thing I might want to do is add a texture to this design. I don't really like it for this social club one, but there are many cases that I use textures in my designs and that you see doing really well on Etsy, for example. And Kittl's made it really easy to do this within the platform, but it's a little bit tricky. You got to know how to do it. So what you can do is go on over to textures and you can select different grunge textures, paper textures. But when you select this, it might look kind of funny. So what you need to do is go down to the bottom side here and under texture, make sure that this mask texture is selected. And then you're going to change the color burn to what I always do, which is alpha mask. And now if you scroll in, you can see that there is a texture applied to all of the elements that are in this design. It's just a little bit harder to see, again, because this design doesn't have thick elements to it. And then you can go and grab the different types of textures that maybe you want to apply, and you can see which one looks best for your design. Again, this one's a little bit hard to see them in here, but you are going to see it changing. And if you want to just get rid of your texture, you're just going to release texture, and then I just hit delete. One other important part of Kittl that I want to bring up to you is the use of layers. If you happen to have different products or different items that are laid on top of each other, like this, for example, and say you want to move Nashville to be on top of everything, one option, what you can do is right click this, and then you can say move forward or move to front at the side here so that this is brought in front of all the other elements, or a way to see all of your layers, which are again the different elements and their order of what is on top. At the side here on your left, all the way at the bottom, you're going to see this layers. It used to be on the right side, but it has been moved over. And now you can see all of your different layers in here. And if you want to move them around, you can grab them and just move things behind each other. For this design, we're not really working in layers that much, so it's not as important. But you'll notice in other designs where you have things laying on top of each other, just how important it is to have these layers. Now, once you are happy with your design, you do need to double check that everything is centered. I have done this way too many times where I created all my mockups, uploaded my design, just to realize at the posting stage that my design is not centered and looks uneven. So what you can do to make sure that all your elements are matched up are select the ones that need to be lined up. I'm just gonna make sure that these are grouped so they're counting as one image. Make sure by selecting this, there's a group now. And now I'm gonna select all these middle parts here. And at the side here under alignment, I'm going to hit center. And that's going to shift everything to be in line with each other. And you might think this is easy to spot by the eye, but once you actually move things, you'll realize you are way off. And again, I've made this problem too many times. For example, if the 2024 was down here, or maybe just slightly off, I can select both of these here, and then I can select this version here where it just says middle, and they're going to align together. One thing you probably want to do once your design is completed is create another variation of this design for, say, black sweatshirts or white sweatshirts. So we have our white design here, which is going to print really well on a black t-shirt, for example. But what if I also want to offer a white version? I need to create a duplicate of this design, but in the opposite color. And what I can do is first I'm going to rename this Nashville white, or you can call it whatever you would like. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the name here of the artboard, and everything should select, the border should be selected. And then I'm going to hold Option on my keyboard, and what I'm going to do is just drag this sideways, and you're going to see that a duplicate artboard was created. And now what you're going to do is select every item on this second artboard, and you can do that by just dragging your cursor over all of these items, and then you're going to see selection colors, and it's going to show how many colors were selected. We just have white in this image, but now I can group change these to black, for example. And if I want to change the color of the artboard here, I'm just going to click on the artboard, and I'm going to change this color to white so how I can see how this is going to appear on both colors. I absolutely love using different artboards all within one Kittl file to keep everything together. So maybe you want to just create your mockups and have everything all saved in this one file together. The reason artboards are great is because unlike Canva, they can be different sizes. If you have a Canva file, every file that is within one project needs to be the same size, but that is not the case with Kittl. So what you can do is you can hit A on your keyboard, or at the bottom here, just hit Artboard, and you can open one, and I usually drag it out, but then at the side here, I will open this to my mockup size. Usually I'm doing like 2700 by 2700 if I'm doing a square, and then you can bring in your mockup file. Now, once you have your mockup file, you can bring your designs right onto your mockup. So one thing I do like to do so it doesn't get too messy is just group all of one of my images here. So again, we're gonna hit Command G, and now if I move it, it's all going to move together. I'm gonna hit Command C, which is copy. And then over here, I'm gonna hit Command Paste, and I'm going to drag over my design. I'm gonna make it smaller, and I'm just going to fit it on my mockup here. And then you can see and adjust and edit your mockups to the point where you're happy. And again, you can have multiple different mockups in here. You can keep dragging this over, bring in your other mockup files. And then now, again, you have one file that has all the assets for this design all together. Another cool thing that you can do on Kittl is actually check how your mockups look, or create mockups right away using their mockup tool. These are a little bit limited in what you can do, but if you just want to get an idea of how this looks, you can type in shirt, for example, if you plan to sell these on shirts, and pick one of their mockups here, for example. Let's do this girl because she's super turned. And then I'm going to change the sizing here. And what's great is this actually looks realistic. It warps it to the shirt here. So if you wanted this as a backup mockup, or again, just to see how this would look, you can also go into the side here and change the color of the shirt as well, depending on which products or different colors you plan to sell with this design. But I typically do like to just make my own mockups. I know which ones do really well for me. And now before we save this file to upload it, what I want to do is show you guys some extra tools and tips you might need to use depending on the type of design that you're doing that I didn't necessarily need in this. So let's get into those extra little bonus tips. So the first one is how to use different shapes and how to merge them to be one shape all together. And I'm going to show you the use case that I use this for the most. So what I usually do with this is I do a rectangle. So you can do that by at the bottom here hitting R, or just selecting rectangle and drawing it out. If you want to draw a square, make sure you're holding Shift as you drag this out, as this will scale it proportionately. But for this, I actually want a rectangle. And then I'm going to change to an ellipse or a circle. I'm going to hold Shift so I get a circle and not a crazy thing. If I don't hold Shift, then it would look like this, but I want it to be circle. And I'm going to line this up over here. I'm gonna make this a little larger. Make sure it all lines up. There we go. And now I'm going to Command Copy, paste my circle, and bring it to the other side as well. And now I'm going to select all three. And at the side here, you're going to see Shape Builder. And I'm going to create, I don't know what to call this, a curved rectangle. I'm going to hit this one here, which is the first one, which is Union. And now you can see this is just one shape now. It's not three different shapes. It is just one shape. And I'll usually use these for my EST style designs, or you can put a name in here. But yeah, usually I have something like EST 2025. Depending on the design, I'd probably change the text to something thicker. Positioning again here, make sure everything's aligned and centered, so that looks a lot better. Kittl also has a new thing called quick export. Say for example, I wanted to save just a part of this design. I don't want to save all of it. Well, what I'm gonna do is select the parts that I do want exported. So I want just an image, a JPEG, or a PNG file of just the boot and the margarita here. What I'm gonna do is hit quick export on these. I'm gonna save it as a PNG file and hit export. So now I have a saved file to my computer that is just these two pieces of this design. Kittl also has what is called Kittl Copilot. And what you can do is right click on an image you have selected, a graphic you have selected, and then you have a few different options down here. You can change to, you can change the opacity, switch style, replace image with, align to. So if you actually can't find the button in Kittl, you can use the Copilot to help you get what you want done. There's also different masks under the element side here. So if you come to elements and you're going to find a one called mask, or you can just look up mask as well, you're gonna see a bunch of different shapes and say maybe I want something in a heart. Then what I can do is drag something over and you can move it inside the heart. There we go. And then this can be dependent, again, what you're creating. Maybe this is a custom picture for your customer, some reason in which you would need a mask and you want to actually make it into a certain shape very quickly. Back to the Kittl AI, some extra tips that you can use in your designs is there something called sets generator. So earlier we made a cowboy boot. Let's say in one click of a button, we want to create a cowboy boot, a cowboy hat, a ranch, anything. We want a bunch of similar images. You can type in the different prompts and you can click on the style that you would like these saved as. So you can go through your saved styles and you can select this and you can make a bunch of different things at once, like a martini glass, a bow. And then depending on how good the reference photo was, I don't really like how these ones turned out. I usually do, but today I'm not loving the sets generator, but you can rerun it again until you're happy. And then you can just hit add all, or you can add just one of them, but it's just a quick way to make a bunch of similar graphic designs if you need that in your design. One extra tip of something that I do quite a bit, but it's not the most obvious in Kittl, but once you know how to do it, it's much easier, is how to make text outlines. What you can do is create a text and scrolling down, you're going to add a border. We've done this before. I'm going to add a black border and then clicking on the color, which is on the inside color, I'm going to change opacity to 0. And now I can increase this border size, maybe change the text because some text works with borders. Some doesn't look that great when it's borders, depending on how thick it is. But if you prefer this type of style, this is what you have to do to create it. Those were, I believe, pretty much every single tip and trick that I use when designing within Kittl. And now we want to save our file. So at the side here, we're going to hit export, and then under Artboards, you can change this so that you're only downloading the ones you want. So maybe I don't want my mock-up photo right now. I kind of just want my PNGs of my two designs here. And I want PNG because I want a transparent background when I'm placing this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have remove background selected. And I also just like to save this as the highest quality as possible. So I'm going to change the DPI to 300. Make sure again that we had that larger file size here. And then I'm going to hit export. And now I'm able to use those files in Printify, in Printful, or whatever way you plan to print these. And if you wanted to save now your mock-up photo separately, you can go down and we're going to just unselect these all, select your mock-up photo, or if you have multiple mock-up photos. This one I like to save as a JPEG and I don't really need the remove background. And then I'm going to hit export and now I can upload this to Etsy or Shopify or social media or wherever you plan to use this mock-up photo. If you're just getting started with Kittl, this all might feel overwhelming, but once you create a few different designs, you're going to finally start learning where things are, how to do certain effects. It just comes with practice, but I hope this video helped you out and that if you're stuck on something, you can come back to reference this. It is going to have chapters all throughout so you can find the certain chapter of something you were stuck on and you wanted to do within Kittl. And if you're interested in Kittl Pro, in my description below, I do have a link for 25% off all of the plans that you can use and let me know how your designing goes. Thank you guys.